Welcome to the deep dive. Okay, let's just jump right in.
Yeah.
That moment, the first date bill arrives. We've all had that slight pause, haven't we?
Oh, definitely. You're having a good time, maybe thinking, yeah, this is nice. And then boom, decision time.
Exactly.
Mhm.
There was this funny take going around, wasn't there, about how the modern dating sequence ends with splitting the check, not a kiss.
Right. But like, is that actually how it goes down? Is that the standard now? It makes you wonder.
It really does. And, based on the stuff we've been looking at, that whole uncertainty, who pays, how you even bring it up,
Yeah.
it's still a huge thing on first dates.
Yeah, very much so. So our plan today is really to dig into the different ways people are navigating this, hopefully give you some clear ideas so you can avoid that awkward wallet dance.
And it feels even more relevant now, right, with, well, everything costing more.
Totally.
Our sources were showing the average dinner for two, it's like up 30%.
Wow, 30%.
Yeah. And even casual stuff, one source actually tracked, get this, a McDonald's mayo chicken burger. Price jumped 40%.
40%. For a mayo chicken. That's something.
Tells you something, doesn't it? And there's even talk of coffee hitting like 5 pounds next year, regularly.
Oof, okay.
So it's kind of not surprising that a survey found over half, 54% of singles, have actually just, stopped dating because of the cost.
That really paints a picture, doesn't it? The financial pressure is real. In that same survey, it mentioned that even people who are dating are cutting back.
Yeah. How so?
Well, baby boomers, for instance,
Huh.
they're apparently aiming for around 30 pounds for a date now, even though they'd like ideally spend more, like 40 pounds, 41 pounds.
Right. So everyone's feeling it.
Pretty much. Which makes figuring out the bill even more loaded, maybe.
Yeah.
So yeah, let's break down the options people are considering for that first date.
Okay. So option one, the classic, the traditional approach. The man pays.
Still happens a lot.
Yeah. And our sources suggest it still has, a certain appeal for some, maybe especially if you're a bit older, over 50 perhaps. It sets clear expectations.
hmm And there's that whole idea of chivalry, showing you're generous, maybe a bit of a provider vibe right from the start.
And looking bigger picture, you could even connect it to, well, ongoing economic stuff, like the gender pay gap.
That's a fair point. The data, certainly in the UK, still shows women earning less on average, like 91p for every pound a man earns. So him paying could be seen as sort of acknowledging that reality implicitly.
But, tradition isn't always the best fit for today. Always being the one to pay. That can get expensive fast, especially if you're going on a lot of first dates.
Absolutely. And beyond the cost, it can feel a bit stuck, maybe. Reinforcing old gender roles, creating an imbalance right away.
Yeah, an unequal footing from the get-go.
And think about the other person, the one not paying. Does it create a weird sense of obligation? Like, oh, he paid, so now I kind of owe him something. Especially if you're not sure yet if you even want a second date.
That's a tricky feeling. You don't really want that hanging over the start of something potentially good.
Exactly. Do you want that kind of potential weight attached?
Which, naturally, leads us to the more common approach these days, splitting the bill. Or maybe taking turns paying for things.
Right. Taking turns is interesting, like one person gets drinks, the other gets cinema tickets, or dessert, or parking even.
Yeah, I kind of like that idea. Seems like a fair way to share it without, literally splitting every penny.
Yeah, and the big plus for splitting, or alternating, is that sense of equality. You're starting off on the same page, financially at least.
Reduces the pressure on one person, too.
Definitely. And it might even mean you feel okay suggesting something a bit more ambitious for the date, knowing the cost isn't all on one person's shoulders.
You,
Bigger budget, potentially.
True. But our sources also flag potential awkwardness here, too, if we haven't talked about it. You get that moment, both reaching for the card or trying to do quick maths in your head.
Ugh, the mental maths. Yeah. And here's a subtle one, saying, I'll get the next one. It can be a great way to show you're keen for another date. But what if the other person isn't feeling it? Then it just hangs there. An awkward, unfulfilled promise. Or worse, they feel obliged to say yes just because you offered.
Yeah, that's not ideal. And apparently, even just offering to split can sometimes be read the wrong way.
It's fascinating, right? Someone might think, oh, they want to split. Maybe they're not that interested, even if that wasn't the intention at all.
Wow, so it really comes back to communication being super important, doesn't it?
Absolutely. Clarity helps avoid misinterpretations.
Okay, so we've got man pays, splitting or alternating. What about the radical option, as one source called it, the woman paying for the first date?
Yeah, that definitely flips the script on traditional norms.
It does. And the upsides, well, it obviously challenges those old stereotypes,
Yeah.
might really appeal to women who like taking the lead.
And it could be, quite considerate in some situations. Maybe there's a known financial disparity. The man might have financial constraints, perhaps from a divorce, child maintenance, that sort of thing.
That's a really thoughtful angle. But again, potential downsides exist.
Always. The source suggested some men might, again, misinterpret it. They might see the offer to pay not as generosity, but as a lack of romantic interest.
Oh, interesting. So reading it the wrong way again.
Potentially, yeah. And just like with men always paying, if a woman is dating actively and always offering to pay first, those costs add up for her too.
Right. It cuts both ways financially. So, okay, we've laid out these different scenarios, traditional, modern, radical. What practical advice did our sources offer for actually, handling the moment?
Well, the big one popping up again and again is talking about it beforehand if possible.
Feels a bit direct, maybe.
It can, but way less awkward than the silence when the bill arrives. Even something simple like, hey, just think about the bill later. I'm happy to split it. How do you feel about that? Just opens the door.
Yeah, it takes the pressure off the actual moment. Okay. What if you're not sure what they prefer?
Offering to split seems like the safest bet. It's generally seen as a fair, considerate gesture. Even if your date fully intended to pay, they'll probably appreciate the offer.
How would you phrase that smoothly?
Something neutral, like, shall we split this? Or, I'm comfortable going halves. Keeps it easy.
Okay, good tip. And what if they do insist on paying after you've offered?
Be gracious.
Yeah.
Definitely. A clear thank you is key. But the sources also suggested maybe mentioning how much you enjoyed the actual experience of it. The meal, the coffee, the chat shows appreciation beyond just the money.
Nice touch. Now, what about things to absolutely not do?
Oh, yeah. There were some definite don'ts. Top of the list. Don't ask for their share of the money later if you paid, and then things fizzle out before a second date.
People actually do that.
Apparently it's becoming more common. But yeah, really bad form. Steer clear.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay, noted. Anything else to avoid?
Another interesting one was about, secretly paying the bill while your date's in the restroom or something, thinking it's impressive.
Oh, the surprise payment move.
Exactly. The intention might be good, but the advice was it's usually better, especially first date, to give them the option to split or contribute. Some people genuinely prefer to pay their share. Don't take that choice away.
Makes sense. Give them the agency. Okay, what about practicalities if you do decide to split?
Simple tip. Just ask the server to split the bill when they bring it. Saves any faffing around with calculators or sending money later. Much cleaner.
Good call. Easy.
And another practical point. If you haven't discussed payment beforehand, maybe be mindful of what you order. Don't go for the lobster and champagne if you're expecting them to pay, or even split, unless you make it clear you're happy to cover the difference yourself.
Right. Just common courtesy, really. Be reasonable.
Exactly. And one final positive tip. If the date went well, offering to pay next time is a brilliant signal.
Yeah, good one. How would you say that?
Something like, thank you so much for tonight. That was lovely. I'd really like to get the next one. Maybe we could check out that exhibition film place you mentioned.
Perfect. Shows interest, appreciation, and sets up date number 2. Smooth.
Exactly. It handles the current bill graciously while looking forward.
So as we kind of pull this all together, it's worth remembering something broader, isn't it? Money stuff in relationships. It's often a big deal.
Oh, hugely. One source mentioned that something like 20% of couples argue about finances pretty much daily.
Wow, daily. That's a lot.
It is, which kind of puts that first date bill in perspective, doesn't it? It's almost like the very first mini financial decision you might make together.
Huh. Never thought of it quite like that. It's an opportunity then.
Yeah, an opportunity to show you're considerate, you can communicate, maybe compromise a little, handle it smoothly with charm and appreciation, and it sets a really positive tone.
Less about the money itself, more about how you navigate it together.
Precisely. Ultimately, it boils down to open communication, being considerate of different viewpoints, different financial situations maybe. That's what leads to a better experience for everyone.
Good advice. Approach it with thought, not just awkwardness.
Yeah. Find what feels right and comfortable for you while being mindful of your date, too.
If you enjoyed the podcast, don't forget to hit that like button, subscribe, and tap the bell so you never miss an upload. Got thoughts, questions, or spicy takes? Drop them in the comments. I'd love to hear what you think.